Hi, Ryan. Glad you're here. And hi, Romney. I didn't see you sneak in.
Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so let's begin the practice. Let's start by setting our motivation for tonight's teaching, reading. And this is the one from Bambanka Rinpoche. I will achieve Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, my past mothers. I will therefore listen to this profound teaching on the 3 scopes of the Lamrim and then practice it properly. Of course, we should think also of the those on our prayer list and also for the long, healthy, happy lives of our teachers, and rejoice that we are able to do this practice here. Land of great wealth and peace, prosperity in this beautiful United States of America. So let's start by saying the beginning prayers. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, May I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And then the short mandala offering. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorneth Mount Meru for continents the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offering. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. O holy and perfect pure Lama, from the clouds of compassion that form in the skies of your Dharmakaya wisdom, please release a rain of vast and profound Dharma, precisely in accordance with the needs of those to be trained. Idam Guru Ratnamandalakam Niryatayami. Okay, now tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. Geshe has approved that we say a few prayers for Tashidoma, Geshe Sampo's mother, who passed away recently. And so he has recommended that we do a mala of the Mani mantra. So I'm assuming many of you are advanced practitioners and probably know the visualization and the meaning of the mantra. So I'm not going to go into that. So let's read the verse of praise. Not veiled by any fault, white in color, whose head a perfect Buddha crowns in light, gazing compassionately at all beings. To you, Chen Reizig, I'll sing one, I'm prostrate. And Geshe likes to us to imagine His Holiness as the Thousand Armed Chen Reizig. So I thought I'd share this image so we can see this. So we'll say the first seven and the last mantra together, and the rest we'll say to ourselves. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing. And now we are in the section, the book Essence of the Vast and Profound, page 332 in the hard copy. The section, The Benefits of Going for Refuge, has 8 sections. 1, you become a Buddhist. 2, going for refuge functions as the foundation for all vows. 3, you exhaust your previously accumulated karmic obscurations. 4, you accumulate a vast amount of merit. 5, you will not receive harm from humans or non-humans. 6, you will not fall into the lower realms. 7, you will accomplish all your wishes. 8, you will quickly attain enlightenment. You become a Buddhist. It is taught that we should differentiate the unique features of Buddhists and non-Buddhists going for refuge. If you are without this refuge, it is as Geshe stated, even the elder sitting with his eyes cast downward may not have entered the gateway of the Buddha's teachings. If we don't have a pure act of going for refuge in our mental continuum, even the old Lama at the head of the row won't receive any benefit. Although he is a member of the monastery, he will not be associated with being a Buddhist. If you have a pure act of going for refuge, you will enter the ranks of the Buddhists. Going for refuge is the foundation for all vows. If you don't go for refuge, there is no need to mention other vows. You cannot even generate the vows of a layperson. They all must be preceded by the act of going for refuge, which is the only way. You exhaust your previously accumulated karmic obscurations. The son of a god who was on the brink of death and going to be reborn as a pig went for refuge, whereby he diminished the karmic obscurations for being reborn as a pig and was instead reborn into Tushita Pure Land. In the same way, if we engage in a well-founded act of going for refuge, it will have great power to purify our karmic obscurations. You accumulate a vast amount of merit. If we accumulate merit through extremely powerful faith in the 3 jewels, it will transform into a powerful potential that will result in attaining vast stores of merit. If the merit of going for refuge were to possess some form, even the 3,000 worlds would be too small to contain it. You will not receive harm from humans or non-humans. A heretic accomplished the attainment of a wind noose, yet was unable to bind a person holding lay vows because that person had gone for refuge. In the same way, a certain person was punished by the king and was sent to the charnel grounds, yet the non-human beings there were unable to touch him. Regarding refuge, even merely saying the words has great power, as in the story of a robber who came to steal some cloth from a bhikshu. You will not fall into the lower realms. Although you meditate on the view of emptiness of the generation and completion stages at the time of your death, I am doubtful that this will prevent you from going to the lower realms. Yet, if you engage in a pure refuge, you will most definitely not be reborn in the lower realms. Dogen Sangye Ern proclaimed. In short, if I do not generate a realization of death and impermanence in my mental continuum, Guya Samaja will not be profound. When I generate a realization of death in my mental continuum, the 3 verses of refuge are profound. If you had not repeatedly meditated on practices such as the completion stage, they won't come at the time of your death. Regarding refuge, if you have complete confidence in the 3 jewels and go for refuge out of fear and faith without any hypocrisy, that will be sufficient. You will accomplish all your wishes. Whatever kinds of happiness or suffering, good things or bad things happen to you, don't place your hopes in non-human spirits, local guardians, and so forth. Instead, if the devout make offerings to the 3 jewels for all their needs in practice, they will easily accomplish what they need. Don Toba Rinpoche also stated, don't let your trust in your personal deity lapse. In times of crisis, put less trust in humans. Past holy beings said that although we need to accomplish a certain aim, we should not engage in deceptive means that are opposed to the Dharma. Instead, we should accomplish them by making offerings to the 3 jewels. We will quickly attain enlightenment. By going for refuge to the 3 jewels in this life, you will attain another life of leisure and endowment in a future life, come into contact with the 3 jewels and train in the path, and before long you will become enlightened and so forth. There are limitless ways in which it is beneficial. The stages of precepts once you have gone for refuge has 2 sections. 1, the individual precepts, 2, the shared precepts. The individual precepts has 2 sections, prohibitive precepts, prescribed precepts. Prohibitive precepts. Regarding the prohibitive precepts of going for refuge to the Buddha, having gone for refuge to the Buddha, you do not trust yourself to other gods. It is improper to prostrate and go for refuge not to the buildings, housing, statues of non-Buddhist deities such as Ishvara, worldly gods and spirits, non-humans, kings, spirits, and so forth, by thinking they will care for you. It is permissible to entrust them with assistance for the sake of dispelling temporary obstructions, as though they were your townspeople, neighbors, and so forth. For example, it is like entrusting your friends and siblings by giving them a payment. Although you may collect alms from your benefactor and so forth, you are merely entrusting them with your temporary aims, and it is not necessary for you to think that you are going for refuge in them. For the prohibitive precepts of going for refuge to the Dharma, Because you have gone for refuge to the Dharma, you abandon harming living beings. The prohibitive precepts of going for refuge to the Sangha indicate that because you have gone for refuge to the Sangha, you should forsake your Tirtika friends. Although not actual Tirtikas, there is no difference between the Tirtikas and the Bompo, and you should not associate with your friends who do not have faith in the three jewels, and so forth. Prescribed precepts. Regard any image of the Buddha as the actual Buddha. Having gone for refuge to the Buddha, you should regard physical representations of the Buddha, including paintings, those composed of good and bad substances, and so forth, as being no different from the actual Buddha. It is inappropriate to be critical about the poor materials used to make a statue that is being sold, and so forth. It is an extremely grave misdeed if you ascribe blame to the quality of a statue itself, as related to in the story of Supri Yavat. This is very beneficial to know in consideration of actions and their effects. There is no fault in assessing the qualities of the craftsmanship, however. Previously, someone presented a statue of Manjushri to J. Atisha to inspect. The person asked Atisha about its quality, saying that if it was good, he would use the gold coins that Rompa Garge had given him to purchase it. Atisha replied, "It is not possible that the body of Venerable Manjushri is not good. Regarding the craftsman, he is mediocre." Having said this, he placed it on his head. Atisha the Great also acted the same way toward many other holy images. Geshe Dondrup, who is in the succession of lineage gurus, would say, "Please rest easily" to holy images in the evening, and in the morning would ask, "How is your health?" and so forth. And this was because he regarded them as actual enlightened beings. Regard even a single letter of scripture as the actual Dharma jewel. Having gone for refuge to the Dharma, it is inappropriate to step over any piece of writing on the topics taught by the teacher, such as those writings in Sanskrit, Chinese, Mongolian, and so forth, as well as the various forms of writing from Nepal and Tibet. My guru said that as a precept of going for refuge, it is inappropriate to regard even 5-star coins in silver as more important than Dharma texts. This is quite true. If we drop some money into a sewer, we would try to retrieve it with a long stick. Yet if we drop some writing in the middle of a cesspool, we would pretend we didn't see it, even though we did, and keep going. Geshe Shengawa would stand up and so forth when a Dharma text was brought into his presence. Later, although he was old and unable to stand, he would join his hands in prostration. When Jetson Kapa asked someone if he could borrow the stages of the teachings by Geshe Lungpo Longdro June, Jetson Kapa himself lit a stick of incense to welcome the stages of the teachings when it arrived, as is clearly displayed in the biography of Jetson Kapa, as well as in the Tonka painting of the series of 80 images of Tsongkhapa. Do not wipe your nose on your text. Do not set things such as your eyeglasses on them, and don't step over them, and so on. By engaging in acts of disrespect, you are accumulating the karma of abandoning the Dharma. By doing so, you are creating the cause to not understand books in all your lives. That being so, establish the recognition of even a single letter being the actual Dharma jewel. Regard even a patch of red or yellow cloth from a monk's robe as the actual Sangha jewel. Having gone for refuge to the Sangha, develop the recognition that even the red and yellow worn by someone such as a disrobed monk, which is a mere reflection of a monk, is the actual Sangha jewel, and don't act disrespectfully. Rontopa Rinpoche as well would regard even a patch of red and yellow that had fallen onto the ground as the actual Sangha and take it into his hand, shaking off the particles of dirt. He would then say, "It is not possible. There are not a few good qualities from wearing robes such as this on your body," after which he would touch it to the crown of his head, carry it to a clean place, and set it down. The Sutra of the 10 Wheels of Shtabara Garbha states, even the dilapidated champaka flower is vastly superior to other flowers. Even though a bhikshu may engage in derelict and negative actions, he is superior to all well-behaved Tirtikas. Similarly, like the musk from the corpse of a deceased deer and giwang from the corpse of a deceased elephant, even a disrobed monk holding wrong views is superior to a learned and well-behaved practitioner of other religions. Therefore, it is inappropriate to despise him with disparaging words. By doing so, we are in direct contradiction to our precepts of going for refuge. It is said that even something as insignificant as a patch of red and yellow from the robes of the Sangha should be regarded as the actual Sangha jewel. The meaning of this is that the actual persons wearing such robes as the Sangha It is not merely the robes that are considered the Sangha, the shared precepts. To go for refuge by repeating, recalling the good qualities of the three jewels. We go for refuge by recalling over and over the good qualities of the three jewels according to the previous explanation. Offering the first portion of whatever you eat or drink. By doing this, you will unceasingly accumulate very powerful merit. It is inappropriate for us to eat the white part of something like cheese and offer the moldy parts. Je Tsongkhapa stated, it would be a cause of enormous regret if we didn't take the opportunity to do something similar to what is explained in the sutra when it states, may I unceasingly sow the seeds of happiness and well-being in the wondrous field of merit with the plow of faith in this ritual in all 4 seasons. Lama Rahula explained to Atisha about the enjoyments that he would result from offering even half a measure of rice and made a prophecy about a man who would send an invitation turned out to be the Tibetan king La Lama Changchubur. Je Tsongkhapa stated, our way of not seeing the supreme field of merit, even as an ordinary field, is not good. Therefore, we should make a sincere effort at all times to make offerings to the three jewels. If we carefully think over the words of the practices that we regularly recite, such as Lama Chirpa, the Lamrim preliminary rituals, or the Tsok offering, we will complete vast stores of merit with each passing moment. Although we study and listen to the Dharma, we don't understand the meaning of the words, are incapable of developing realizations and so forth. Whatever occurs isn't effective. However, if we earnestly visualize the field of merit and then accumulate merit, purify negative karma, make supplications, and so on, then our listening, contemplation, and meditation will be very beneficial and most effective. Je Rinpoche Tsongkhapa also stated, when we study, we don't retain the meaning, therefore we don't understand the meaning when we contemplate. When we meditate, we don't develop realizations in our mental continuum, and the power of our minds is extremely weak. At such times, it is an oral instruction to rely upon the power of the field of merit. If we have faith, there will never be a shortage of substances to offer. As Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life states, clean water not held by an owner. Thus, it is permissible to make such offerings offered in that way. It is unacceptable to not make actual offerings if we are wealthy. Je Rinpoche Tsongkhapa also stated, some being incapable of giving even though they have the resources, quote lines such as, I'm not endowed with merit, I'm very poor, I have no other wealth for offerings. Potoa said, this is like a blind person trying to trick a sighted person by putting some incense made of weeds into an aromatic conch ball and saying, this is water perfumed with sandalwood and camphor. Although at the moment we have resources, it is the result of the accumulation of merit from a previous life. If we offer the best of whatever we can find from the earlier part of our life to the latter part of our life, the power of our merit will continuously flourish and increase. Geshe Funshu stated, in the beginning I offered incense made of grass. That hurt my nose. Next, I obtained long sticks of sweet-smelling incense made of the 4 substances to offer. Now I offer aromatic, akaru, turuka, and so forth. Thus, you should offer whatever you can, even if it's nothing more than a small lamp offering the size of an eyeball. Bodhisattvas on the first and second levels and so on send forth countless emanations, whereby they engage in immeasurable acts of accumulation and purification. Thinking that we don't need to learn the profound meditations such as the hand offering and so forth reveals that we don't know anything about the Dharma. Encouraging others to go for refuge. There is great benefit in attempting to establish others in the practice of going for refuge by explaining the benefits of going for refuge to your family members, those who share your monk's quarters, and even your traveling companions, and trusting yourself to go to the 3 jewels as your refuge for whatever actions you undertake. You should entrust yourself to the 3 jewels as your refuge for whatever actions you undertake. When there was a lack of favorable conditions while Je Rinpoche Tsongkhapa was restoring a statue of Maitreya in his celestial abode, he would supplicate the 3 jewels and entrust his Vaishyavana to perform his enlightened actions by making butter torma offerings. Likewise, it is extremely important that as we are about to accomplish our desired aims, we supplicate, make offerings, and so forth to the 3 jewels. Offer refuge 3 times during the day and 3 times during the night. Do not forsake the 3 jewels even as a joke or at the cost of your life. We should properly protect the precept to not allow ourselves to forsake the 3 jewels, even temporarily or as a joke. Day 18. The general protector, the Lord of the Dharma, Tsongkhapa stated, leisure and endowment are difficult to find and there is no time to waste. Familiarize your mind with the fact that and overcome craving for the things of this life. If you repeatedly contemplate the non-deceptive actions and their effects, and the suffering of samsara, you will overcome craving for things in your future lives. Although you may practice either of the two dharmas of the Mahayana, you absolutely must begin by overcoming your attachment to the things of this life. At the moment, whatever you practice you undertake of listening, contemplating, and meditating, none of it becomes dharma, which is the fault of not abandoning this life. Sachen Kunga Ningpo also proclaimed, if you cling to this life, you are not a dharma practitioner. Although you may have overcome clinging to the things of this life, you still must not strive in any way whatsoever for the welfare of your future lives by wishing to attain the status of a god or human, but instead develop an aspiration for liberation. To accomplish that, you must overcome your attachment to the things of your future life by contemplating actions and effects, as well as the faults of samsara. These two means of counteraction are called the stages on the path of enlightenment, the teacher's king of instructions, and so on. There are three different ways of conjoining the causes of going for refuge with the three types of beings. The mind that fears the suffering of the lower realms and desires liberation from that is the act of going for refuge according to a being of small scope. Likewise, the fear of samsara motivates the act of refuge, a being of middle scope. Fearing all the disadvantages of sorrow and peace motivates the acts of refuge, a being of great scope, or in other words, the common Mahayana. Thinking, my object of attainment is the three jewels, and if I attain that, I will be free from all fears. Therefore, that is what I shall attain, is a way of going for resultant refuge, and is a unique way of going for refuge of the uncommon Mahayana. If you become the Sangha jewel and develop the path of cessation in your mental continuum, this will liberate you from some portion of fear. Yet there is a great danger of your making a mistake in the way of going for refuge and generating bodhicitta that is unique to the Mahayana. While carrying out the visualization of the suffering of the lower realms and going for refuge, you should combine them as one system of training. With the exception of proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, the other meditation should be carried out after you withdraw the field of merit, visualize the guru on the crown of your head, and employ the descent of purifying nectar. While going for refuge, proceed with the new object of refuge in the space before you. Once you meditate on the suffering, something like the hell realms, recite, I go for refuge to the guru, deity, and three jewels. While your mind is imbued with faith in the objects of refuge in the space before you as having the power to protect you from that suffering. Although it is suitable to collect account through this method, you should repeatedly go for refuge purely from the heart. You should recall the unique qualities of the objects of refuge. You can also substitute systems during the breaks in the Lamrim preliminary ritual according to the other previous session breaks. Read books about the lower realms and examine the texts of our teacher that present the ways of going for refuge. There are extensive presentations of our teacher about the lower realms and the supreme dharma of the application of mindfulness. Therefore, you should examine it in detail. The principal precept of going for refuge is accepting and forsaking according to actions and their effects. Developing conviction and faith in actions and their effects is the root of all well-being and happiness. To develop this, we need to protect our moral discipline, striving for the welfare of future lives. For that, we must practice accepting and abandoning according to actions and their effects. For that, we must know the methods of abandonment and acceptance. Contemplating actions and their effects is extremely important, as expressed in Nagarjuna's letter to a friend, which states, if you wish for higher status and liberation, it is imperative that you be familiar with the correct view. This is stating that you must become familiar with the mundane correct view, which is actions and their effects. Shantideva also stated in his guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, how can I attain certain liberation from non-virtue, the source of suffering? It is proper for me to contemplate only this at all times during the day and night. Furthermore, we should gain the realization of karma through the four means of actions and effects taught by the Bhagavan, which are 1, karma is certain, 2, karma increases, 3, if you didn't perform a karmic action, you won't meet with its effect, and 4, karmic action is never wasted. Some people pretend they have a high view and disregard actions and their effects, which means that they haven't understood the essential point of emptiness. The King of Concentration Sutra states, like an illusion, river, mirage, and a flash of lightning, all phenomena are like the moon reflected in water. After death, we move on to another world. Although human beings are unobservable in emptiness, the actions they perform will not become non-existent. Karmic maturation functions in accordance with white and black actions. This excellent means of logical reasoning is subtle and difficult to perceive, and is only the experience of the conqueror. And Geshe has stated, although we can understand emptiness through logic, actions and their effects are extremely profound. Atisha the Great relied upon his guru, Avadutipa, for many years, although he would engage in great actions of devotion. Although Atisha offered a golden mandala to request Dharma, Avadutipa, excuse me, wouldn't teach him much. Sometimes he would teach him Dharma without being requested, even though he had no free time. One day, he and Atisha were traveling together, and when they were about to cross a huge body of water, an extremely terrifying and narrow bridge, to stress its great importance in the middle of the bridge, Avadutipa turned, faced Atisha, and said, "My son, until you are free from self-grasping, you must refrain from even the most subtle ripening of karmic actions. Thus, if we disregard actions and their effects, although we may be pandits, siddhas, or bodhisattvas, we will go to hell." The Jataka tales state, the maturations of karma are inconceivable. Even a compassionate person can be reborn as an animal. Nevertheless, if you are a bodhisattva, although you may be reborn in hell, you would continue to progress. Even there, your perception of the Dharma will not deteriorate. The ornament of the Mahayana Sutra states, even though you go to the lower realms for a long time, you will quickly become liberated. Thus, through the force of that mind of bodhicitta, you will quickly be liberated into a higher rebirth. Actions and their effects are subtle and precise. Therefore, you should be careful with even the most subtle actions, being sure that you absolutely don't tell lies and so forth. Whatever virtue and negativity you have performed will be clearly revealed in Yama's mirror of karma. Previously, there was a man from Pempo in the vicinity of Asa who had eaten religious offerings and died. When he arrived in hell, there was no one who could help him. To the kindness of reciting the names of the Buddhas in the Sutra of 100 Invocations and Prostrations, there is a method for coming back to life after death. Yet, if you disregard actions and their effects, even though you may be a mantra practitioner who has accomplished attainments, it won't benefit you. Previously, a young Brahmin man from India named Chanakya was a yogi of Yamantaka and used his power to liberate many living beings, whereby he was reborn in hell, as related in the Manjushri root Tantra. This is similar to the story of a yogi of Vajrabhairava from the Pondo region in Pimpo. Jontopa Rinpoche was unable to bear it when the Tibetans engaged in even the most subtle negative actions, and he said to them, "Followers of Atisha, it is improper to be so bold. Dependent relationship is subtle." Geshe Kamlungpa said to Geshe Punchua, "Geshe, only cause and effect is important, yet these days no one explains it, listens to it, or meditates on it. I wonder if only this teaching is difficult to practice." Puchungwa replied, "It is just as you say." Although the great Shravakas were able to come to a decisive conclusion on emptiness, when it comes to the Vinaya and actions and their effects, the Buddha didn't teach it to anyone who wasn't capable of developing conviction in it. The expression of worship at the beginning of the text on the Vinaya states, "I prostrate to the Omniscient One." Therefore, when it comes to these teachings about actions and effects, we should develop conviction by accepting the validity that only the strict scriptures taught by the conqueror contain teaching concerning actions and effects. Even scholars with good qualities will easily go to the lower realms if they do not properly protect actions and their effects. Although Devadatta could reap one heap of Dharma, he didn't have faith in the Buddha. Therefore, he went to the hot hells. The disciples went to the cold hells. Although the bhikshu Shunashatra could comprehend the three baskets, it did not benefit him. And through his wrong views in the Buddha, he went to the hot hells, as taught in the Nirvana Sutra. Therefore, there are three contemplations about actions and their effects. Actions and their effects has three sections. 1, contemplating actions and their effects in general. 2, contemplating the specifics of actions and their effects. 3, the way to practice engagement and avoidance through those contemplations. Contemplating actions and their effects in general has two sections. 1, the actual contemplation in general. 2, contemplating their individual distinctions.
Hello, Geshe Gelek is here.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. Good evening. Good evening, Tomasi. Good evening, Ryan. Good evening, Elise. Good evening, Julie. Good evening, Yeshua. Yeshua. Good evening, Julie Louise. Good evening, Jill. Good evening, Tom. Good evening, Govina. Good evening, Carmen. Good evening, Michael. Good evening, Venerable Hamo. Good evening, Venerable Chuing. Good evening, Patty. Good evening, Karen. Good evening, Romini. Good evening, Bodhisattva Patrick. Good evening, Karen. Good evening, Rainy. And thank you very much for all of you praying for Geshe-sam's mother. So continuously, really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And thank you very much. Today, Sanjay Jodang Sanjay Jodang Chancho Padang Dante Chapter Dake Chishi Jibe Sonam Dola Bende Sanjay Jodang Sanjay Jodang Chancho Dake Chishi Jibe Sonam Dola Bende Sanjay Jodang Sanjay Jodang Chancho Padang Chishi Jibe Sonam Dola Bende Sanjay Sadamala Meme Nami Ajin Ombo Da Jajin Lazo Sanjay Sundara Sanjay Songa Rava Rada Shijin Deve Jujaba De Dawa Shie Jia Tambe Chunye Jine De Namo Haye Ge Dalu Da Ni Jenge Tivonda Da Me Ge Nana Doa Kuje Nama Jina Tamje Ke Don Da Ge Chuden Do Kange Tuze Nyozo Ne Tawa Tambe Bambe Je Tambe Chune De De Kodam De La Cha Tse I like to say a few mantras, so some of them for your long, healthy, happy life, some of them for your health, some of them is like to prevent untimely death, and some of them is like to prevent from the lower realms. Okay, some of them is to create a cause to be born in Amitabha Buddha's pure land. Probably take 5 minutes. Okay, only 5 minutes. Just hearing the mantra, that's all the benefit I just mentioned, just hearing the mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Aparamita Ayunjana Sumbone Siddhatanjoranda Yatadangata Arahane Samyasa Buddhaya. Tehadang Pune Pune Mahapune Aparamita Pune Aparamita Pune Jana Sumbhavate. Om Savasama Karapare Shuddha Dhammate Gangana Samgade Sambhavam Vishuddha Mahane Parevare So Om Namo Bhagavate Aparamita Ayunjana Sumbone. Siddhatanjora Zaya Tadangata Arahate Samyasa Buddhaya Tehadang Pune Pune Mahapune Aparamita Pune Aparamita Pune Jana. Sombaro Bazede Om Savasama Karapare Shuddha Dhammate Gangana Samgade Sambhavam Vishuddha Mahane Parevare So Om Namo Bhagavate Aparamita Ayunjana Sumbone. Tathagata Arahate Samyasa Buddhaya Tehadang Pune Pune Mahapune Aparamita Pune. Sumbaro Bazede Om Savasama Karapare Shuddha Dhammate Gangana Samgade Sambhavam Vishuddha Mahane Parevare So Timinchive Tsama Towana Tiemela Tsava Mega Sevat and the Chidabatin Chimere Zenyo Don Toba Chumde Shabanda Jamaya Daba Zoba Sanjari Jesudo Jana Jazolo Jado Jama Jumde Shabanda Jamaya Daba Zoba Sanjari Jesudo Jana Chumde Shabanda Jamaya Daba Zoba Sanjari Jesudo Jana Jazolo Lama Tumba Chumde Shabanda Jamaya Daba Zoba Sanjari Kumbo Yobado Nevala Jadolo Shabanda Jamaya Daba Zoba Sanjari Kumbo Yobado Nevala Jadolo Boyabado Nebala Chodolo, Chodo Jodo, Chijalo, Drumso, Amit Ayunda, Drumso, Amit Ayunda, Amit Ayunda, so. Jinja Mogi Gundo, Zonja Ulaja, Tuja, Lola, Jesus, Namora, Nama, Berotana, Juara, Tata, Gataya, Araha, the Samia Budaya Theatre, Araha, the Samia Budaya, Dada, the Amara, the Samia Budaya. Namora Nataya, Namo Ayajana, Savara, Berotana, Juara, Juana, Tata, Gataya, Araha, the Samia Budaya, Namasawa, Tata, Gataya, Ara, the Samia Budaya. Namaya, our Lokidesha, Bodhisada, Mahasada, Mahakarunika, Theatre. Dara Dara, Diri, Duru, Itivity, Sada, Kusumi, eliminated the Abana, so Namora Nandaya, Namoya, Jana Sagara, Berutana, Chuana, Tata, Aradeva Samazam Budebe, Namaya, our Lokidesha, Bodhisada, Mahasada, Mahakarunika, Atom Dara, eliminated the Abana, so Namora Nataya, Namo Ayajana Zavara, Berutana, Chuana, Namasawa Tata be Arade, Samas Budebe, Nama Aya, our Lokidisha, Bodhisataya, Mahasadaya. Dara Dara, Didi, Duru, Itivity, Salet, Kusumi, eliminated that. Abana Wadi, and you know that it is one. Ribocha da Dawada Pemera Jamba Kebasi, Jabula Chachulo, Chodo Jabo, Cesare, Janado Jodovala, Chachulo, Chodo Jabo, Yadabato Vagadi, Yangi Mejo Bala Chachulo, Chodo Jabo, Chijalo, Choda Jazo Yala Jazolo, Chodo Jabo, Chijalo, Chujazo Jagala Namaro Bango Javola Chazulo, Choda Jago, Chijalo, Chunde de Tijama, Zogata de Mijila, Benu, Javola Chazulo, Choda Chunde de Tijama, Pejawa Shajato Vala Chazulo, Choda Jago, Chijalo, Tujakulan, Chunde de Choda to Tuzune Saja Mijila, Chazulo, Omnamo Bagawa, the Begas Guru, Bedu, Tamara. Arahade Samya Sambudaya, Teatam Begas, Maham Begas, Raja Samuga. Onamo Bangawade Begas, Guru Bedria, Tambaraza, Tada Gataya, Arahade Samya Sambudaya, Teat. On Begas and Begas, Maham Begas, Raja Samuga, Tata Gataya, Arahade Samya Sambudaya, Teatam Begas, Maham Begas, Raja Samuga, and the Sanjana. Tia Sala Gubara show. Mimete Generate to mention me almost and the woman legend just Kanjaki to just on up a long translation also one. To mention me almost and the woman legend just Kanjaki to just on. Mimete Generate to mention me almost and the woman legend just Kanjaki to just on up. Saragundo Java Tonga Tejoshi, Muzo, Javanga Lava, the KJ Oh, yeah. So now this is done. Any questions, Tomasi?
There were quite a few questions tonight. The first one, we are talking about the benefits of going for refuge. And after that section is a section about prohibitive precepts. And this is the question. It says, it is improper, the text says, it is improper to prostrate and go for refuge to the buildings housing statues of non-Buddhist deities such as Ishvara, worldly gods and spirits, non-humans, king spirits, and so forth, by thinking they will care for you. It is permissible to entrust them with assistance for the sake of dispelling temporary obstructions, as though they were your townspeople, neighbors, and so forth. And then the questioner says, this sounds a bit like the issues I have with born-again Christians. I hear the same refrain from those saying that unless I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I am damned. How does a Buddhist interpret this?
What's the next question?
The next question, Geshe, was in the section on the shared precepts a very short way before day 18. The text says, if we offer the best of whatever we can find from the earlier part of our life to the latter part of our life, the power of our merit will continuously flourish and increase. Can you explain what it means to offer the best of the earlier part of our life to the latter part of our life? And then the next question. There's in the section on the 8 benefits of going for refuge.
The second question is not like what it says, the early part of your life, next part of your life.
It says, if we offer the best of whatever we can find from the earlier part of our life to the latter part of our life, the power of our merit will continuously flourish and increase.
Okay.
The next question is from the section on the benefits of going for refuge. Under the section, you will not receive harm from humans or non-humans. It refers to a story about a robber who just by reciting the words of refuge that he had heard was protected from spirit harm. And the following pages seem to emphasize genuine respectful attitude toward Dharma writings and other objects. And the person says this is confusing. Why is just reciting the words by a robber as important as a strong, positive attitude toward Dharma? And then the last question asks you to review and explain a paragraph. I'll have to read you the paragraph. This is short way into day 18. While carrying out the visualizations of the suffering of the lower realms and going for refuge, you should combine them as one system of training. With the exception of proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, the other meditations should be carried out after you withdraw the field of merit, visualize the guru on the crown of your head, and employ the descent of purifying nectar. While going for refuge, proceed with a new object of refuge in the space before you. Once you meditate on the suffering of something like the hell realms, recite, I go for refuge to the guru, deity, and 3 jewels, while your mind is imbued with faith in the objects of refuge in the space before you as having the power to protect you from that suffering. So that's the questions that we have, Geshe.
How many pages we read today? How many pages we read? You read?
It's 15, Geshe.
So which day we are in?
Day 18.
Just started or almost finished?
I think we just started. Let's see. Yes, we just started.
So the first questions need to understand in the first place why you take refuge. What's the reason? What's the reason that you take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha? What's the reason? You have to have the reason, otherwise you can't just take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha. So, so in order to answer that question, first we need to understand why you take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha in the first place. For what reason? if your reason is that you seek liberations, nirvana, so then you take refuge to the object that already achieved liberation or nirvana. You take refuge in that object which already achieved liberation, because your goal is seeking liberation, not like better health, more money, bigger house. This is nothing to do with your like this life. Yeah, so the very reason that you take refuge in Buddha Dhamma Sangha, that reason is not related to just this life. It's like bigger goal. If your goal is to seek refuge, seeking liberations, so then seeking refuge in house, rock, trees, I don't think they provide nirvana, because like, holy lake, holy mountains, holy trees, I'm not sure there's enough. And that like, you need to think, will they provide you nirvana or liberations, because that's your goal. It's not like that you are like looking down on them, because the very reason that you're taking refuge is you are seeking liberations. And the only way you can achieve liberations if through realization of shunyata. Shunyata, that's the core, that realization of shunyata will eradicate the root of samsara, in this case, like, which is like self-grasping mind, ego or self-grasping mind. It's like that we are trapped in that cage from beginning this time to till now. Only way you can break that cage is to realizing shunyata. So that's the reason. That's the reason. So that's the reason that if your reason is, maybe good life, this life, less obstacle, yeah, then you can take refuge in this godly, kind of worldly God. There's many of them, many worldly God, you can take refuge in there. So they provide, they provide, actually not provide, it's actually is the result of your karma. Anything that happened, any good things that happen to you, there's a result of your positive karma. Or sometimes those worldly good, so they probably may have some power to move the conditions to postpone your positive karma life after life. So they could probably remove the conditions, maybe, so then that positive karma could ripen in this life, and seems like they provide, actually they didn't provide. They just removed the conditions, because you are the one who create the cause. You create the cause for the positive karma. So it seems like they provided, so then, like people do like sacrifice. These people are not seeking liberation. They're for just something for this life. And the animal sacrifice, all kind of things. If your goal is not liberation, so then you can take refuge. If your goal is to just temporary benefit in this life, so then there are many other worldly God can provide. Provide means can assist that, not really provide. Even though it seems like provide, there's nothing to be provide. If there's no karma, there's nothing can be provide. The karma that you are the one who created, but condition that push the karma life after life, so that condition can be removed. Then it seems like they provided, actually they don't provide. Okay, so it's not like looking down on some religious, or like it's that you are the one who needs to decide. Need to decide. So seeking liberation, then the teaching needs to talk about shunyata, emptiness. Without that, so then I don't know how you can break the chain, like the cage. There's the ego, the self-grasping mind, that we are trapped in that. And I'm not sure how, beside meditation on shunyata, beside that, I'm not sure what kind of technique that you can use to break that cage. If that kind of method available, in some other teachings, you can read. All the major religious traditions, they have teachings you can read, and you can find out, do they talk about Shunyata or not. So then whatever knowledge that you have about Shunyata, then based on that, you need to think. You need to use your own brain to think, is there a way out? Is there really a way out? Is just myth? Is there really a way out? Or it's just somebody just talk? It's just too good to be true. Will I be able to liberate it? Some human liberated. You are human too. And if the answer is okay, I can be liberated. So now the question is how? What kind of practice, what kind of meditations that I need to learn or do in order to liberate myself? So you can read all the teachings. You can read Buddhist teaching, you can read Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, you can read all of that. Okay? It's not about being biased, or it's about the very goal, very reason that you take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha. If that goal is moksha, liberation, so then based on that, so then you need to decide whom you take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha. Okay. Buddhists never preach. You have to request, not just one time, 3 times. You can ask first time, the person may say, I don't know anything. So make sure that you are not just curious, So you ask again, so that kind of shows, a little bit shows that you are kind of serious, not just curious. Then request 3 times, then kind of person say, now you are interested, not just out of curiosity. So then, according to the Vinayaka Sutta, you are supposed to request 3 times. First time the person says, I don't know anything. It may not be true. It's not like go preach. The Buddhism, there's no preaching. There's no preaching. So you have to request. So that clearly shows the converting one religion, another religion. That's not the That's not important things. That's not important things. That's not important things. So that's not important things. So that need to request 3 times. Okay. Overall, Buddhism is solely rooted in when it's come down on conduct, compassion, kindness, view interdependent, conduct, non-violence, peace. So that's the Buddhist principle: conduct and view, conduct, non-violence, view interdependent. So there's not absolute. Everything's dependent on something. Okay. So then the second part of the question is you are talking. Looks like sounds like it's talking of offerings. So that means when you make offering, there's many different types of offerings: external offering, internal offering, secret offering. So basically, you can offer 3 times: early, past, probably refers to past, later, whatever, the merit that you created physically, mentally, verbally, early part of your life, the later part of your life. So then you can offer all of them, not just this life, many more life in the future. 3 times merit, 3 times you are married, 3 times merit created by other people, whether you say early part of life, later part of life, it doesn't early part that goes way beyond this life, even the past life. 3 times merit created by you and other people, so that your practice, your mantra recitations, your daily recitation, your practice, everything. So then actual offering that you have on the altar, so then the mentally created offering that you just visualize, even though on the table there's one light in your mind, So there's like millions of light, in front of each Buddha all the time, not just today. Something like that, okay? So then the third, so one could take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha in the based on small scope, that you are only thinking about your liberations. Then focusing very much based on all the complications, physical complications, mental complications that you are going through. You are going through now, probably you are going to go through that in the future. So you are kind of tired of that. So then you, with that understanding, so then you seek refuge. That's called small scope refuge. So then you are not just worried about yourself, you are worried. Then when you look at your situation, then you look at other people, everybody in the same boat, never satisfied, never satisfied. So they're like sometimes high, sometimes like life is like a roller coaster, sometimes up, sometimes down. They're never satisfied, no matter what we did, never get satisfactions. According to Rolling Stone, you can never get satisfaction, no matter. No, we've been doing things, going here, going there, talking, eating, then watching, listening, wearing, like putting perfume, do all kinds of things, but none of us satisfied. Do all kinds. Climbing on the mountain, jumping from the top of the mountains, or long hiking, scuba diving, sailing, surfing, do all kinds of things. We humans do all kinds of things, but none of us satisfied. None of us fully satisfied. That is not just your issues, it's the issue of being part of samsara. That's the issue of all the samsaric beings, it's not just your issues. So so the situation like that, so then you realize everybody's the same boat, so then you think that you take full responsibility to help them. So then you seek refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha, so that's considered as a Maya refuge. Oh, yeah. So the first that you kind of worry about the lower realm, so then you kind of like lower realm, you seek refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha, there's the refuge of small scope. So then not just worrying about the lower realm, and you are worrying about samsara, not just lower realm, samsara. So then you seek refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha, so that's the middle scope refuge. So then you realize eventually that everybody is in the same boat, so then you take full responsibility to help them to liberate. So therefore you take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha, that's called Mayana refuge. Make sense? Is this the last questions? Tomasi? Well, I just made up the answer. I just made up the answer for. I just made it up the answer.
I guess so. The last question was about a specific instruction. Let me go back and read it again. It's about while carrying out the visualizations of the suffering of the lower realms and going for refuge, you should combine them as one system of training. With the exception of proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, the other meditations should be carried out after you withdraw the field of merit. Visualize the guru on the crown of your head and employ the descent of purifying nectar. While going for refuge, proceed with a new object of refuge in the space before you. Once you meditate on the suffering of something like the hell realms, recite, I go for refuge to the Guru, deity, and 3 jewels, while your mind is imbued with faith in the objects of refuge in the space before you, as having the power to protect you from that suffering.
The question, what is the question? That looks like the statement.
Would you explain?
What is the question? Summarize, please. What is the question?
The question is, would you explain that paragraph?
Yeah, so then read again, please. Then we'll go then by bit. So then this question is too long, so I probably need to go little by little. So read little part, and then let me explain.
Okay. While carrying out the visualizations of the suffering of the lower realms and going for refuge, you should combine them as one system of training.
Yeah, one system of training. That here, the training, whenever you are practicing Lamrim, your goal is fully enlightenment. You should not think, oh, that small scope is nothing to do with the great scope. It's all part of the process. If I understand that question correctly, so maybe that's not you may intended to say, but what I hear is like these are all the part of the process. Part of the process. Please continue.
With the exception of proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, the other meditations should be carried out after you withdraw the field of merit, visualize the Guru on the crown of your head, and employ the descent of purifying nectar. While going for refuge, proceed with a new object of refuge in the space before you. Once you meditate on the suffering of something like the hell realms, recite, I go for refuge to the Guru, deity, and 3 jewels, while your mind is imbued with faith in the objects of refuge in the space before you, as having the power to protect you from that suffering.
Amula, would you mind? Do you understand the questions?
I think that she's asking how you can combine
help explain.
How you can combine visualizing the suffering of the lower realms and taking refuge at the same time in that same practice. So
can you repeat it? How you can visualize?
Yeah, the suffering of the lower realms, taking refuge and doing that in one practice. So I think.
So then we already talked, I think, last Wednesday. So that main cause of refuge, there's like conviction, faith is one cause. The fear is another cause. So yeah, when refugees coming to these countries, generally speaking, they have fears in their own countries. So they may be going to be executed, there's dangers in their life. So that's why they come take refuge in some other country because out of fear. So there's, so the fear is one cause. So fear because uncertainty, not knowing, no confidence. No confidence. It's not like negative fear, it's kind of like positive fear that you want to gain confidence. You want to make sure that, if something goes on after this life, you want to make sure it's going to be all right, it's going to be okay, it's going to be very okay, that you want to gain some confidence. So that's the reason, because you are afraid of this unknowing journey, unknown journey. So then that the fear kind of motivates you, so like in the worldly perspective, people do Tibetan people, when they cross Himalayan mountains, there's risk for their life. They are not properly equipped, crossing the mountains full of snow, not having glove, proper eyeglass, people losing their hand. like the, so because they are taking refuge, coming to India because there's like so many unknowns, just talking, saying something, may end up in jail, and many things. So the fear is very important. Whenever you feel, when you do refugee practice, if you don't feel any substance, something's lacking. That's how refuge been said. The same refuge prayer has been said by Lama Atisha, Lama Tsongkhapa. But how come that I don't feel anything? Because that maybe there's cause is not there. Cause is not there. Okay, so therefore, when you take refuge, of course, that reflection of the lower realm is necessary. It's necessary in order to gain the. Why you take refuge? Because you want to gain confidence. You want to gain confidence. So like everything checks. You are confident. Everything working properly. It's not working something you fix. Like that. So that confidence. Deng. It's called deng. So this is important, confidence. So that's why one of the cause, reflection of lower realms, one of the cause. So then having a conviction, faith into Buddha Dharma Sangha, there's another cause. So then when you do refugee practice, then you feel like it's kind of like liberating. It's kind of like liberating. Practicing, taking refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha is kind of liberating because you understand what it requires, what it means, how to do. So then you feel confidence, okay? It's all about gaining confidence. So then, Alhamdulillah, the next. So that doesn't seem like that's all the questions. Is that all the questions?
Yes, Geshe, that's all the questions that were asked.
Okay. So then visualization, if you're asking about visualizations, so then, so I want to, if you are here, are you also wondering about the visualization or not? If you are wondering about visualization, I'm more than happy to explain. If you don't want to talk, you can just text, or you can just, because of now technology, you can send instant message to Donasi.
Geshe, it's my question.
Oh.
It's my question. And so my question really is about the visualization.
Okay.
So it's referencing a visualization. And I just wondered if you could explain visualization.
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's a very good question. Yeah, so I'm more than happy to explain. Saying refuge and doing refuge practice, there's two different things, two different things. When you do refuge practice, sit comfortably wherever you are sitting. Sit comfortably. So then actually there are like sitting positions. There are 7 sitting positions. When you meditate, most of you here face looks very familiar. Most of you know 7 sitting positions. Sometimes use 8 sitting positions. Okay, this answer will require some time, okay? So then you sit comfortably. So if your mind is not settled, as I mentioned before, you can do breathing meditations, 21 times. So to transform your mind into neutrals. So we are not going to be successful if you meditate or do any spiritual practice with the mind that's not settled. So at least mind is positive or neutral. So therefore you do 9 round breathing meditation or 21 breathing meditations. If your mind is all in a good state, you don't need to do breathing meditations. You don't need to do. So then space before you, the distance when you do full length prostration, like 6 feet, 6 feet or maybe 5, don't need to measure, but when you throw your body, so that distance you can probably reach that distance. Okay. Height to your third eye level. You don't have to look up and look down, just there, same height. Visualize beautiful throne made out of precious jewel, beautiful throne. So now you are creating here. You are creating the visualization. So you are setting up the refuge fields. So top of that precious throne, the beautiful looking precious throne, top of that. Then you visualize lotus, beautiful lotus, which symbolize renunciations. Then top of that, you visualize mundis, which symbolize bodhicitta. Top of that, then you visualize sandis, which symbolize wisdom realizing shunyata. So why you do that? Because whomever you are going to visualize on that possess all these three qualities: renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom realizing shunyata. So then top of that, you visualize Shakyamuni Buddha in appear as a Shakyamuni Buddha. In reality, there's no difference. You are Lama. With the Unisha, one face, two arm, right hand, earth-touching hand gestures, which symbolize empowering four maras. Left hand, meditative ego poise, holding a bowl, black color bowl filled with the amrita or nectar. Wearing the robes, orange color robes, no too red, no too yellow, not too bright. So then top of that, if you have some knowledge about the 32 mark and 84, 32 sign, 84 mark, if you have these enlightened qualities, enlightened physical qualities, if you are aware of that, you can visualize that. Then the sitting in the aura with the Vajra cross. So first I will do the simple one, then maybe next time elaborate one. So sitting in the aura that comes out of the body, sitting in the aura. In front of the throne, there's a beautiful looking table. Top of that, all the teachings that taught by Buddha, form of light. And the sound, it has sound. It's not just, it has sound, almost like you can hear the teaching sound. Then delightfully looking at you, and you're looking at that. With full convictions, faith, remembering the quality of that enlightened beings. Looking at you very delightfully. So then now you here sitting, right side, your father in this life, together with all the male figure, male living beings left. You are this life mother, includes all the female figures of the sentient beings. Behind all the relative, distant relative, all of that. In front, strangers, enemy. Now you are thinking that none of us are freedom from samsara. Has been part of samsara since from beginning this time to till now, not been free. And all the complication is not going to exhaust just simply experiencing them, need to eradicate the cause of all the complications. Simply experiencing them again and again, that's not way to exhaust them. So then you could, if you have some knowledge, you could go through each the complication of each realms. Complication of each realm, you go through them. Kind of remind yourself. So then today that you are, you happen to be human beings, The life that you have is so precious, so meaningful, so difficult to find. You have to think about that precious human life. So precious, so meaningful, so difficult to find. Fortunately, met the teachings and Buddha Dharma, particularly met Lama Tsongkhapa teachings, and need to be happy, very happy, not just happy, extremely happy, and need to feel extremely fortunate to meet Dharma. So somehow they create the cause from previous life to meet the Dharma, particularly Lama Tsongkhapa teaching, which has the ability to enlighten you within 3 years, 3 months in this life. Lama Tsongkhapa teaching has potentials to help you to enlighten within this short life, even quicker within 3 years, 3 months. So you met their teachings. You need to feel fortunate and feel amazed that that now you realize you are so fortunate. So this is the opportunity that you have now. So you must think deep down from your heart. This is the perfect opportunity to liberate myself from samsara for good. Not just that, help all the people that you're visualizing around you, in front, back, right side, left side, all of them. You need to help them. So then you lead refuge prayer. So then imagine all of the beings around you. So you have to imagine they're also saying the refuge Buddhist prayers. And you say, the longer version, you said that's longer version of the refuge Buddhist prayer, refuge prayer, longer version of that. So you said that, not the stanza one, longer version. You said that 3 times. And with say 3 times, make sure that you are there physically, mentally, verbally, because you are here doing something very important, helping yourself. You are about to start ultimate freedom for yourself. You are doing something very important to yourself. Not just that, also you are thinking to help all the beings that you visualize around you. You're also helping them. So then you do the longer version of refuge prayer 7 times. So right after when you finish the number 7, so then you visualize this 5-color rainbow or light or nectar emitted from Buddha's body. Crown, white from the crown, red from the throat, blue from the heart, yellow from the navel, then green from there's 5 chakras, from the secret chakra. There's a crown chakra, throat chakra, heart chakra, navel chakra, then chakra tip of the organ, there's called secret chakra. So then 5 colors, light emitted from the Buddha's body and touch your crown, white color touch your crown, red your throat chakra, blue your heart chakra, yellow your navel chakra, the green your the secret chakra. So then nectar flows from there. All the physical sicknesses, all the negative karma completely purify, completely purify. Any karma, that negative karma created towards Dharma, Buddha, Sangha, your teacher, completely purify, completely purify. So then after that, then you focus on your future Buddha Dharma Sangha. After you finish this longer version of Refuge prayer 7 times. So then after that, then you focus on your future Buddha Dharma Sangha. So then you say this stanza, Refuge Buddhist prayer 7 times, composed by Lama Atisha 7 times. So then after that, make strong wish that you are going to practice bodhicitta, not just that you are going to engage yourself in the bodhisattva deed, such as 6 perfections, wholeheartedly, make strong commitments. After that, replica of that Buddha, the very Buddha, appears as a Buddha. In reality, that you are Lama on this beautiful throne. Replica that Buddha imitated. Dissolve into your body, instantaneously you become Buddha. As I mentioned many times, Buddha is not based on gender, it's simply enlightened beings. Replica of that emitted from the Buddha's body, so then dissolve into your body, instantaneously you become enlightened. Then light vibrate from your body, light emitted or vibrate, light, lot of lights come from your body. Minute that light touch all the beings behind you, in front of you, right side, left side, instantaneously all of them get enlightened. Then rejoice. What you have just done is something incredible. What you have just done is something incredible practice. And then you just rejoice. So then when you come out of that meditation, in reality, it's not like they are all enlightened. It's just everything happened in your meditations. So then right after that, so then you do 4 immeasurable prayer, because in reality you realize, they are not really enlightened, but it's all happening in your meditations. So then you do 4 immeasurables. You recite the equanimity fast. You equanimity fast because you are not just saying that, you are practicing. You are now practicing 4 immeasurables. You're trying to put 4 immeasurables into your practice. So that's why you recite the last one, you recite the first one. So then the rest of the order is the same. So then each immeasurable comes with the 4 principal points. Limitless wish, limitless prayer, limitless request, then as each one of them come with the 4 points. So after that, you do 4 measurables, 3 times. So then now it came down to dissolve. Now the refuge practice is done. Now you need to dissolve whatever you visualize. You need to dissolve. Similarly, the cloud appear in the sky, but it dissolves back to the sky. Similar like that, everything appears from your heart, your thought, your mind. Everything will be dissolved back into that. Everything dissolved back into the Buddhas, then the very Buddha on the throne, they dissolve back into your body. Dissolve through your third eye. Everything dissolve into the Buddha, the very Buddha, they dissolve through your third eye. They need to think that you receive all the blessings by doing this refuge practice. You receive all the blessings. So if you need to go into detail, so then not just visualize Shakyamuni Buddha, then around there there's many other holy beings that you visualize. So that's why what I say, everything dissolve back into the Buddha, then very Buddha that dissolve through your third eye, then you receive all the blessings. So that's then that kind of complete refuge practice. Okay. Oh yeah, so that's how the refuge practice has been done traditionally. So longer version of the refuge prayer. So that's, I think I already saw, it's already in the FMD book, prayer books. So then just that, if you just do that, that's very productive, like practice, so it won't take that long, So then you do first may struggle to remember, then eventually when days goes by, you build up, then you remember. Visualization very teachers, you remember by heart. You don't need to look at book, you just remember by heart. Then you could. So then you don't need books. You can probably spend like 3 hours, 2 hours. No need books. Everything's built up here. You can go through them. So that you can do. When you go to hiking, you get tired. You just sit there. You can do practice. You don't need books. Nobody sees what you do. Just sitting there. You can do it beach. You can do it beautiful cabin on the mountains. And everything's here. So then you become so familiar that eventually, so then, so it takes time, you build slow, build, so then everything here. So before the class, I've been thinking like, when you give toy to the children, all kind of toy, nowadays all kind of toy, not all of them are kind of good, but that toy, that kind of the butterflies, like small boat, the children place, you are helping them to create imaginations. You are giving them something they imagine. And when they imagine, they are 100% there. They are like physically, mentally, verbally there. So that's why they have a lot of fun. They treat it like it's real. But when the adult look at them, it's kind of silly, but for them, they are very serious when they play. So they are all into that imagination. You give them something, you create something. I think there's the same thing. This great master, I shouldn't say Troy, but I get in trouble. I shouldn't say Troy, but I probably get in trouble. Giving something that when you imagine, it's just there, just there, Then you are like totally, completely, 100% drawn into that. Till we reach in the highest yoga tantra, there's generating stage and complete stage. Yeah, if you properly, so till then, everything that which your mind creates, That's why you visualize thumb. If it's not there, you just create one. And that become Tara, just create. So that's the foundation needs to create. When you reach to the complete stage, foundation, you don't need to create because we have channels, we have drops, we have winds, it's already here. You use those as a base. You don't create a base. Base is already there. That's why it's called complete stage, because base is already complete. That's not something you create. Before that, Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Yoga Tantra, the highest Yoga Tantra, then there's generating stage, complete stage. Below all the generating stage, you create. You create entire mandala in the size of your thumb. You create entire mandala. You just create. You have to create. So so all the visualizations that you create. So then I think we need like this, we need to engage into visualization like child when they play with the toys. They are like all 100% there. For them it's the toy, but for them it's kind of real. So they like that. So then you get immense benefit. And you feel good. After that practice, you feel good that you did something wonderful for yourself, and not just that, and you're trying to do something wonderful for all the living beings. So that's why you feel good, all right? Oh yeah. So good, very good question, Julie. So very good. So so now I think time is over. Okay. So Elise, sorry. So last Sunday, so Dhamasi asked me to say something about environment. And because of that question, I completely carry out by that question.
No, this is for this coming Sunday.
Oh, this coming Sunday?
You didn't miss anything. Thank you.
Okay, this coming Sunday, okay. Then Dhamasi need to remind me, otherwise, like some questions, they can't, so then needs long answer, so then carry out, so then kind of forgets, okay?
So thank you, Geshe-la.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you so very much, all of you. So thank you for coming every Wednesday here, and wish you very healthy, happy, safe life. And so praying for all of you every single day, and lighting, make sure that light, there's like probably more than 30 lights on the altar. Make sure it doesn't run out day and night. It's on 24 hours, 7 days a week. Make sure it's on. All the people that have connection with me, I pray for all of you every single day, okay? Yeah, thank you, and have a wonderful night.
Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, we too dedicate all these merits in the best way that we may follow their perfect example. We dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so we might perform good works. We dedicate whatever virtues we have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losangdapa to shine forever. Now, the long life bearers, as land circled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And then 1 for Sarah J. Kinsa Rinpoche Jetsun Losam Dalek, the one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Awatare, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and void, Lama ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. One for Lama Tsongkhapa Rinpoche, you uphold the subduer's moral way, serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjanastic Taurus doctrine, who masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, savior of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. And then, of course, 7 Tara mantras for Geshe, Gelek, and Geshe samples, long, happy, healthy lives. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 Om Tare Tu Re Soha.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. The kind of my photo in the dedication part looks kind of like this photo is meant for chasing a ghost. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, good night, Ryan. Everybody, good night.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Geshe-la. Good night.
Thank
you.
Geshe-la.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you,
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, Lamana. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Donna.
Lamala.